is that time for us to begin practice. And today is class 3 in this 4-class series that's all inspired by the Pebble meditation from the Plum Village tradition. And in that Pebble meditation, which takes kind of abstract inner qualities and attaches them to things in the natural world, the third pebble represents still water. So we're going to be using that imagery of calm, still, reflective water as an inspiration for our practice today. And that also means that the flow type is a little bit different, because we'll be doing about 25 minutes of dynamic flow and then about 20 minutes of really cooling, calming yin postures. You will need a block for today's practice, so make sure that you have that or something that is an equally viable stand-in available. And we'll start at the back of our mats in child's pose. So you can start in your child's pose, and for this opening child's pose, let's keep the arms extended forward. If you ever participate or practice the Pebble meditation in its traditional format, the affirmation statements attached to the third pebble say, breathing in, I see myself as still water. Breathing out, I feel calm. Still water, calm. Breathing in, I see myself as still water. Breathing out, I reflect things as they truly are. Still water. Reflecting. Using your next inhale, start to walk your hands diagonally to the right, making a slight curvature in your child's pose. And then if my verbal cues are not as clear for this next added neck stretch, you're welcome to peek up and look at me as I'm doing this as well. You're going to take your right hand and place it on the left side of the face in the left ear, and then gently use your right hand to draw your right ear towards your right shoulder, and then gently dip your chin towards your right knee. So it's like you're turning your head to the side and then slightly tilting it forward. Using your right hand to guide that movement, taking 2 more breaths here in this next stretch. And then gently releasing your right hand, walk your hands back to center and take a pause there, allowing yourself to take a full breath here in neutral, observing, reflecting on any sensations in the neck. And using your next inhale, walk your hands over to the left. And then this time the left hand will come to the right side of the face and the right ear. The left ear will drop towards the left shoulder, and your chin will rotate down towards your left knee. Left hand continually applying very gentle, very subtle pressure to feel that slight tension in the neck for 2. And then we release the left hand first, walk the hands back to center, and return to that space of observation. Use your next inhale to shift your body weight forward onto all fours. We're going to start to move through some cat and cow, so you can invite the knees to stack underneath the pelvis and the hip joints. And then bring a little bit more of a heart awareness into your cat and cow. So as you drop into your cow, really drop the heart towards the mat, then lift the sitting bones, the chin, and the gaze. And then as you exhale, feel the back of the heart broaden and expand up towards the ceiling, tail tucks, chin to chest for cat. And continue to flow back and forth through these heart awareness cat and cows. As I've already mentioned, the imagery of still water represents calm and reflectivity. But Tibetan monk teacher Thich Nhat Hanh also articulates that when you're not calm, you cannot see things clearly. That if anger or fear or jealousy are present, then the things that you see are distorted and your perceptions and interpretations will be false. We're going to find our way into a neutral position. Walk our hands forward, lowering down into Sphinx pose. So we lengthen the legs behind us. We push the forearms down into the mat. The elbows are going to pull back towards the belly button. And then we're going to push the tops of the feet into the mat so you feel the kneecaps lift and the legs activate. We're going to keep that awareness in the spine, awareness in the forearms and the legs, and begin to draw a vertical line up and down with the head by a slight lifting and lowering of the chin. And this doesn't need to be a particularly grandiose movement. In fact, it could be quite subtle. As much as possible, allow the tops of the shoulders to be really soft, relaxed, sort of melting away from the earlobes. And then the next time your head comes to neutral, pause for a moment. You're going to relax the torso out of the back bend. Bring your fingertips off your mat wide, up onto your spider fingertips. Elbows point upwards towards the ceiling. And then as you inhale, keep the feet down, ripple through the spine, rolling up into a cobra with those wide arms. Exhale, ripple down, rolling back to the mat. We'll do that 4 more times for a total of 5. Inhale, rippling up. And exhale, rippling down. Twice more to ripple up. And down. I think there's actually 2 more for the 5, so coming up. And down. Yes, sometimes yoga teachers can't count. We're human. The last one, rolling up. And rolling down. Bring the palms underneath your shoulders. Press yourself back up to all 4s. Anahatasana, heart melting pose. Walk your fingertips to the front of the mat. And for today, I want the arms really active. So come back up onto those spider fingertips. Melt the heart towards the mat. Maybe your head stays suspended. Maybe the forehead finds the mat. We do want to try to keep the hips stacked over the knees. You can let the belly button drop towards the mat so the spine feels a little bit like a hammock here, opening through the undercarriage of the arms, the armpits. 1 more breath in here. And then lift the heart away from the mat. Walk your hands underneath you. Step your right foot forward, finding a relatively shallow lunge. This doesn't have to be super deep. We're still in the warm-up. Walk your hands up onto the right thigh. And for this lunge, I really want you to push that front right foot down into the mat like you were making a footprint on your mat. Sweep your hands behind you. I'm just turning so you can see this. There's 3 options. You could stack your palms and then invite the elbows back. You could have your fingertips facing down and invite the elbows in like the sides of an accordion. Or you could interlace the fingers and drop the knuckles into chest expansion. So choosing what position you want for the hands. Take 1 more breath here. And then as you exhale, release the arms forward, parallel to the mat. Interlace your fingers, flip the palms forward, and then sweep the arms up until they naturally stop. So for some people, they might stop in front of you. Others, you might be able to stack them on top. And then others might even invite it into a slight back bend. 1 more breath here, wherever you are, trying to find that length through the side body. And then big transition, hands come down. You may want to watch this. I'm going to spin my left foot in. I'm going to rock all the way back, invite my right leg out to the side. So I'm in like a Janu Shirshasana. I'll pivot so you can see this. And we'll start to just tick-tock from side to side, letting the body sway from side to side here. Just opening up through the side seam of the body. And we can allow this, aligned with today's theme, to be really watery and fluid. Now the next time you come to your left, I want you to open up into a mild twist. Left hand behind you, right hand to left knee, twisting it out. On your next exhale, see if you can deepen your twist ever so slightly. And slowly release, coming out of the twist. Last little action here. See if you can do this hands free. You could bring hands to waist or just kind of have them out in front of you. We're going to power up that right quad and we're going to lift that right leg up and over. and then up and out. Just 2 more times each way. In. Try not to lean back too much, using the power of that right quad. Nice strengthening of the hip flexors. Then cross the ankles, plant the palms, find your first downward facing dog. Walk it on out. If you think about water, we often think about movement with water. We think about fluidity, movement. And yet, I think the inherent nature of water is actually to be still. It's only moving when it's in some form of transition from one place to another. But once it's in a container, a glass, a bowl, a lake, then it becomes very still, very calm and quiet, and very reflective. You think of a lake that reflects, its surroundings in like a perfect flipped imagery. Drop your knees to the mat, start to flow through your cat and cow as we repeat that warm-up sequence on the second side. And so as we embrace within us the qualities of that still water, we recognize that we have the exact same ability to really reflect what is true in our hearts and our minds and the worlds around us. Sphinx pose, walking the forearms down, sliding the legs back. Move through those little kind of cues for yourself. Forearms push down and pull back. Tops of the feet anchor into the mat so the kneecaps are lifted. And then this time, I want you to drop your head so it's just in line with the natural curvature of your spine. And then you're not going to so much make half circles as you're just going to slowly pivot your chin over the right shoulder. And then drop it through center and turn your head chin over left shoulder. So it's like a horizontal line back and forth. So again, not so much a swooping half circular motion as it is just a lateral swinging from side to side. And then the next time you come through center, pause there, walk the fingertips to the outside of your mat, elbows still pointing up. This time different, I want you to bring your forehead down to the mat. I'm just keeping mine lifted so that my voice stays clear. As you inhale, lift your legs up and away from the mat. And as you exhale, let them mount down. Try to keep your knees straight. Inhale, floating legs up and down. A total of 5, so 3 more. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. No rushing. Movement to breath here. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. Inhale to lift. Exhale to lower. Bring the palms underneath. Pushing up, Anahatasana, heart melting pose. Fingertips to the front of the mat. Heart melts down, forehead to mat for 3. 2. 1. Walking the heart away from the mat, hands underneath you. Step the left foot forward. Anjaneyasana doesn't need to be too deep. Hands onto the left thigh. Push that left foot down to make that imprint into the mat. Sweep your hands around, decide if you're going to stack the hands, have the fingertips facing down, or interlace and lengthen through the elbows. Taking a couple breaths here. Seeing if you can allow your practice today to be very calm and peaceful, like still water, releasing the hands forward, interlacing, flipping the palms forward, and then sweeping them up until they naturally stop. No forcefulness. One more full breath. And then that big transition back to Janu Shirshasana as you spin your right shin and foot in, sit back, left leg is extended, and start to rock from side to side in those lateral tick-tocks. Really fluid and easy. Kick yourself open into the twist, left hand to right knee. And then we're here for about 3 to 4 breaths. use every exhale to just see if there's a very mild amount of space to sort of melt into. You're not trying to kind of force it. It's just a kind of a curiosity. It's like you're asking the body, is there a little bit more here as I soften through my breath? And if there's not, then you stay where you are. Enjoy the breathing there. Last breath. And start to turn the torso back forward, trying this hands-free if possible, engaging that left quad as you lift it up and forward, and then up and open. Just 2 more, trying not to lean back too much, and open. And last one, and open, and then making our way to down dog, planting the palms, downward facing dog. So recognizing that when your mind is calm, you can see the truth. By cultivating this calm, you bring peace to yourself and ultimately to others. Starting to shift into some sun salutations, walk the hands to the back of the mat. Inhale, lifting up halfway. Exhale, forward folding. Sweeping the arms out and up. Hands into heart center. We'll do 2 half salutations. Inhale, sweep the arms out and up. Exhale, folding forward. Feel free to close your eyes if this is a flow you're familiar with. Half lift. Folding in. Feeling into the body, rising to mountain. Hands to heart center. Inhale, arms out and up. Last half salutation. Folding over the legs. Inhale like a wave rippling through the spine, half lift. Fold. Rise to that mountain. Hands to heart center. Bending the knees, dropping the hips, finding a chair pose. Inhale here. Exhale, just like we did in our lunge, decide where you want your hands. You could stack the palms, you could have fingertips down, elbows in, or interlace the fingers, finding chest expansion. Take a full breath here. Wherever your arms are, keep them there as you forward fold Uttanasana. 1 breath in there. Releasing the hands on the exhale down to the mat. Inhale, take a half lift. Exhale, walk the hands forward to down dog. Inhale, forward to plank pose. Listen carefully. Exhale, you'll briefly pass through chaturanga on your way all the way to the mat. Bring the fingertips out of the mat. Untuck your toes, elbows pointing up to the ceiling. Inhale, front half of the body in cobra, lower half of the body in locust. Release that all out. Palms underneath you. Shift back, puppy pose for just 1 big breath. And out, you're still in puppy. Then shift forward, tuck the toes, downward facing dog for 3. So that's our little vinyasa pattern today. We'll go through that 2 more times. Movement to breath. Finding some solace in that repetition, that gentle flow. Instead of walking feet to hands today, we walk our hands back to our feet, the back of the mat. Just a little change up. Inhale, half lift. And fold in. Rising up to your mountain. Hands to heart center. Inhale, sweeping arms out and up. Sitting down to that chair pose. In breath right here. Exhale, finding your position with the arms. Take a full breath in there. Exhale, forward folding into your Uttanasana. In breath there. Exhale, gentle release of the hands down to the mat. Inhale, take a half lift. Exhale, walk the hands forward to plank. Inhale, now you're forward to your plank. Exhale through chaturanga to the mat. Fingertips outside the mat, toes untuck, elbows lifted. Inhale, upper lower body lift. And release. Palms underneath you, pressing up and back, puppy pose. Full breath in. Full breath out. Inhale, shifting slightly forward, tucking your toes. Exhale, down dog 3. Allowing your practice to feel calm and quiet. Recognizing that you have the nature of that still water within you. Walk the hands back to the feet just one more time through this flow. Inhale for the half lift and fold in. Rising up. Heart center to close it out. Last time through, arms out and up. Melting down into your chair. Welcoming the breath in here. Exhale invites transition with the arms. Inhale, growing into the pose here. Exhale, forward folding Uttanasana with that arm position. Inhale there. Exhale, soft release of hands to mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, walk the hands forward, down dog. Inhale, forward to plank. Exhale, feel your chaturanga on the way down. Fingertips wide, elbows up, toes untucked. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, releasing. Pressing up and back, puppy pose. Take your full breath in here. Stay here for your breath out. Inhale shifts you forward, tuck your toes. Exhale, back down dog. One brief standing flow. We'll just do it once on each side before we transition to our yin poses. Inhale, float the right leg up, three-legged dog. Exhale, step the right foot forward in between the thumbs. Spin your left heel down. Down dog lunge. You're going to keep your legs as they are, but walk your hands diagonally to the left, much like we did in that opening child's pose. So your legs feel as if they are in warrior 2, whereas your hands, arms, and torso feel as if they are in down dog at a diagonal. Take one more breath here, down dog lunge. And then continue walking your hands to the left. I'm going to turn my body so I'm facing you. Prasarita Padottanasana. Take your left hand underneath your line of sight. Sweep your right arm up towards the ceiling, heart like a wheel. For a moment, keep your hips squared to the mat. On your next exhale, let your left hip dip towards the mat, feeling that slight increase in a stretch in the left inner thigh. Sweep your right arm forward towards my voice. Right arm down to the floor. Right arm behind you. Right arm up to the ceiling. We'll reverse that circle. Right arm behind you. Down to floor. Forward. Up to ceiling. Drop your right hand next to your left. Turn your right toes out all the way to face the front edge of your mat. Walk your hands to the instep of your right foot. Take your right elbow, bend it, and press your right forearm and elbow into your right inner thigh to press it away from you and deepen the lunge. You should feel a deep right inner thigh stretch. You could keep your left hand underneath you for support or for added strength work. Elongate your left arm to the back of the mat, hovering for 2. One more breath in here. Both hands gently find the mat. Then they walk to the front of your mat space. Hop your left foot in one big foot's length, planted at a 45-degree angle. Inhale, lengthen the spine, revolved triangle. Left hand either on shin, block, or floor. Right arm sweeps to the ceiling. 3 breaths. 2. Lengthening the right side waist. Last inhale. Moving through the vinyasa pattern of the day. Hands come down. Step it back to your plank pose. Feel that chaturanga on the way down. Fingertips to outer mat. Untuck the toes. Elbows lift. Everything rises. Releasing. Palms underneath you, pressing back to that puppy pose. Take a breath there. Inhale shifts you forward. Exhale invites you back, down dog. Pausing for about 3 to 4 breaths before we do that sequence on the second side. Remembering that even in this more energy requesting sequence, that today we're allowing the practice to feel calm and quiet. Inviting in that energy of an undisturbed, still lake. On your next inhale, float your left leg up, 3-legged dog. Step the left foot forward between the thumbs. Spin the right heel down, down dog lunge. Walk the hands diagonally to the right. Legs are as if they're in warrior 2. Hands, arms, spine, very similar to the energy of down dog. Enjoying full breaths in the pose. And then walking the hands continually to the right, feet turn parallel. This time right hand comes underneath your line of sight, left arm comes up to the ceiling, heart like a wheel. We began by keeping the hips parallel to the mat. And then on your next exhale, allowing a very slight, a subtle dip of that right inner thigh and hip towards the mat. It may not look big on the outside, but it should feel like quite a shift on the inside. Then big circles, reaching left arm forward to my voice, left fingertips down to floor. Sweep it behind you and up to ceiling. And then back, down to the mat, all the way forward and up. Lower left hand down, turn the left toes to the front edge of your mat, bend the left knee, walk the hands to that left instep. I lift my left hand, I bend my elbow strongly, and then I use my elbow and left forearm to pull, to kind of guide my left knee and thigh back. You could keep your right hand down or extend it to the back of your mat, holding 2. Really strong in the legs. One more full inhale. Hands come down to the mat, walking to the front of your space, hop the right foot in, creating that stance for Parivrtta Trikonasana, revolve triangle, right hand to shin blocker floor, left arm up to the ceiling. 3. You're focused, calm, peaceful, just like still water. Looking down, last vinyasa, stepping back to that plank pose, passing through your chaturanga on the way to the mat. Fingertips wide, untuck the toes, elbows lift, lifting front body and lower body. Releasing, up and back, puppy. Breathing in and out, no down dog here. Shift all the way forward, find your block, and then we're gonna come onto the left side body. The block is gonna act like a pillow. So you're gonna rest your kind of left temple, cheek, maybe a little bit of your ear on that block. And then you're gonna bring your arms in front of you, palms are approximately stacked. That circle that we just did in the standing heart like a wheel pose is essentially what we're gonna do here,
but it will feel very different in the body, okay? So as you're ready, isolating this movement just in the arm, start to sweep your right arm overhead towards the wall and kind of above you, and then sweep the right arm back. You'll really start to feel the pec, the inner shoulder here. Then it sweeps down along your right hip and the side of your right torso, and then comes back forward, palm to palm. You're going to do 3 circles in each direction. And the objective is not to see who finishes first. So the objective is not speed here. In fact, the objective is actually, I tend to really slow down in that kind of back portion of the circle, which is super rich with sensation. Once you've completed 3 circles in one direction, then start to slowly reverse. And for me at least, it's a little surprising how different it feels to reverse the sensation. In fact, for me, the reverse tends to be a little bit more intense. Just to state the obvious, if you're kind of nurturing any kind of injury or tenderness in the shoulder, you want to take this very carefully and make sure that you're really being aware of the difference between sensation and pain. Beautiful. Now the next time your palms are stacked, pause. I'm doing this with you, so if my verbal cueing is unclear, you can peek up at me. I want you to bend your left elbow at a 90-degree angle, and then turn your left hand so that your left palm is facing the back of your mat, okay? Now listen carefully. Take your right hand and put it on the top of your left hand. So not where the palm is, on the top of the left hand. And then use your right arm to gently guide your left palm down towards the floor. So if you're doing this, this could be extremely intense or quite mild. It looks a little bit like a chicken wing. And we are ideally feeling this in that back, tricep, little bit of deltoid kind of region of the upper arm and shoulder. Take one more breath here. And then just release the right arm. Let your left arm kind of float back up. Let it fall open. Just take a breath or so there. And then we're going to roll onto our back. And I want you to lift your head and pivot your block so that it's right underneath the ridge of your neck. Kind of right where a massage therapist might place their fingers. Legs can be in a resting pose position, so knees can be bent, feet wide, knees tented together. And there's a few options here. You may just enjoy the gentle pressure of kind of the skull being lifted out from the cervical spine, or that's how it feels at least. Or you might like to very subtly start to rock the head in one direction or another and just seeing what sensations you come upon. And this is a position that's also great when you have congestion or headaches. Really restorative for the head and the neck. And then as you're ready, we're going to take this on the second side. So you're going to lift the head, rotate it back to the lowest height. And then again, roll now to your right side. I'm just turning around so I'm not facing the wall. Palms stacked together. And then as you're ready, you start those Ferris-like wheel circles. Remembering that the objective here is not to beat any sort of time clock, but to really soak in the fullness of what you're feeling in the body. When you envision a lake, And you think about pebbles, you often think about kind of skipping rocks or throwing a pebble into a lake. After the 3 circles, make sure you reverse directions. And if you drop a pebble into a lake, immediately what you get is this series of concentric circles going from small to larger. But if you leave it alone and you don't throw another pebble, eventually those concentric circles get wider and wider apart from one another to the point that they stop completely. I'm going to move into that second stretch here, bending the right elbow 45 degrees. The right palm is facing the back of the mat, left hand on the top of the right hand, and then just a gentle guidance. You're not overly pushing, you're just kind of guiding the right hand and arm where it's going down towards the mat. And that imagery is such a powerful reminder that the nature of the lake is to be still and reflective. And that is the exact nature of our mind. That when left undisturbed, it returns to that still, reflective state that can really show us the truth of what's happening. You're to gently release your left hand, let the right arm float back up, let it fall open for a moment. And then this time as you roll onto your back, I want you to lift your block, remove it from underneath the head completely, bending your knees. You're going to come into a supportive bridge by lifting the pelvis, sliding the block either at the lowest or the medium height. I'm going to stay low today. And then for a moment, I actually want you to walk your feet forward about 3 to 4 inches, not too far. And then bring the soles of the feet together. Let your knees open wide. So we're in like a diamond shape with the legs. The knees are falling open, surrendering to gravity. If this causes any pain or discomfort in the low back, then just keep the knees facing up towards the ceiling and just omit this external rotation. Okay, we don't want to cause any disruption in the lower back or sacroiliac region. You could have the hands resting alongside you. You could even bring them overhead. If you're feeling like this is a place that you'd really like to stay and enjoy, you could certainly do so. I'm going to suggest that we transition to a suspended bridge. You may use your hands to gently close the legs as if you were closing a book. Widen your feet at least hip distance apart, maybe even wider. It could be all the way up to the width of your mat. And then experiment with starting to straighten both legs. So you may just kind of walk them forward 1 full foot's length, see how that feels on the low back. Or if it's comfortable and again there's no pinching, you could elongate both legs completely and then release any effort. There's no holding in the body here. So sometimes I find it helpful to just do a mental check-in with the soles of my feet to make sure there's no holding of tension there. And then I draw my awareness up the length of my legs. I check in with my knees and my thighs, even the back of my glutes on the surface of the block, and just make sure there's no holding. As my awareness circulates up to my abdomen, I just see if the belly is rising and falling naturally with the cadence of the breath. Maybe just a final check-in with the face, the mouth, the eyes. Checking in that there's no remaining tension there. No holding. If this is a place that feels deeply nourishing to you, you're welcome to stay here for our Shavasana. If you prefer a more traditional position for Shavasana, you could bend the knees one at a time. Push the feet into the mat just enough to gently release the block. And there may be some tenderness in the low back here, so you may need to take a few breaths just with the body resting in this position on the mat. And then resume a comfortable position for your Shavasana. When we practice with the third item of the pebble meditation, we remember that we embody the qualities of still water. That we are reflective, calm, and quiet at our very core. Breathing in, I see myself as still water. Breathing out, I feel calm. Still water. Calm. Breathing in, I see myself as still water. Breathing out, I reflect things as they truly are. Still water. Reflecting what is true. Without moving your body, allow the breath to naturally deepen, become more conscious. And then from that deep, conscious breathing, welcome in subtle movement through the fingers and toes, wrists and ankles. Maybe extending the arms overhead. And then in your own way and in your own time, you'll begin to guide your body back up to a comfortable seat. And once you find that comfortable seating position, seeing if you can shift into a meditation posture somewhat quickly, not overly rushed, but just this awareness of the pelvis being in neutral, the spine growing out of that neutral, solid base, the head effortlessly suspended atop the spine, and the breathing smooth and easy. Breathing in, you see yourself as still water. And breathing out, you are calm. Breathing in, you see yourself as still water. And breathing out, you are able to reflect things as they truly are.
close this peaceful, calm practice, you might bring your hands somewhere onto the body, a gesture of gratitude. Or you could bring the palms of the hands together. And we close with a blessing that asks that the entire universe be filled with peace and joy, love and light, which sounds like these 4 words in Sanskrit. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Victory to all of our practices.